a phenomenal white ball batter, that is for sure. Those are Owen Morgan's career stats. Of course, he played 16 test matches with a couple of hundreds, but his name was made in white ball cricket. Those are his personal numbers. It's not about the numbers, though, for Owen Morgan. We will remember him as one of England's great captains who changed the face of English cricket, taking England from the depths of despair in Australia to joy at Lord's. They are big shoes to fill. That's your job. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, they are big shoes to fill. Owen's been a fantastic leader for the past 7 years. As you mentioned, a fantastic player in international cricket as a batsman as well. So, yeah, a bit of sadness, to be honest, that he's decided to call time, but excited at the challenge of taking it on as captain.
Did you see it coming?
No, initially I thought he'd get to the T20 World Cup. I thought that was what he was working towards. But he's always said, you know, if he felt like the time came, and he obviously said that came in Amsterdam. So, and he's a very selfless guy. That's the way he set his teams up, and that's the way he lives his life. So, yeah, he's called time, and like I said before, it's sad to see him go, to be honest.
How inspirational has he been for you and indeed the whole of the white ball teams that he's led?
Yeah, incredibly inspirational. I think take you back to 2015 and the start of that sort of white ball revolution, and the guys who've followed him. You know, people run through brick walls for him, really, and I think, you know, it's testament to everything he's done. You know, really the legacy he'll leave behind is quite incredible.
What was special about him in that dressing room? I mean, we've always seen the external side of him from up above, but in that dressing room with Owen Morgan, what was so great about him?
I think his consistent messaging. I think, you know, whether we won or lost, he was very firm on the way he wanted us to play. And he led from the front. I think, you know, he asked people to play in a certain way, and he would walk out third ball, running down the wicket, trying to hit it over long on for six. And as you know, a fellow player, you watch your captain do that, you think, well, let's tuck in behind him and follow that lead. And he was unwavering in that, whether we won or lost. He was always of the belief that we'll win more games than we lose in this fashion, and operating at an intensity that he believed no one else could live with us if we did that.
Well, you're the man in charge now of the white ball cricket. Was it a long meeting with suit and tie with Rob Key? That's sort of the way he does these sort of things, or was it just a quick phone call or chat on the golf course?
I think he was probably on the golf course, and phoned me up and said, just quickly in between shots, are you keen? So yeah, a simple conversation with him, and look, a great honour to do the job, you know, to be captain of England, and you know, stepping in the time that I am, with lots of exciting cricket on the horizon, is a great honour.
Any hesitations in taking it?
No, not at all. I think a bit more accountability, isn't it? I think, you know, as a vice captain to Morgs, you can give him an idea, and if it doesn't go to plan, you can sort of, there's no accountability, is there? But yeah, so you know, I've got lots to learn. They're excited for that sort of journey, and but you know, I can't be Morgs. I've got to be myself.
What's first on your to-do list in terms of where you want to take the white ball sides? Is there areas where you feel that you can straight away make an impact?
Not necessarily. I think you know, coming into the group where it's at is in a really healthy place, and there's a lot of strength and depth in white ball cricket around the country. I think there's a lot of opportunity in bowling. I think there's a lot of injuries at the minute with some of the bowlers, so you know, I see there's some great opportunities for some guys to come in with the ball and stake a claim and show what they can do. I think death bowling's been one area that's sort of been talked about in our white ball game, but we tend to play in some quite high-scoring games with the way we play. So maybe it's a bit sort of highlighted it more than it should be. But certainly to win tournaments and the tournaments we want to win as a group, we need to sort of have some clear roles for those guys.
When Rob first took over his role, he said Test match cricket is going to be his #1 priority, probably rightly from where we've been in Test match cricket. And he was going to make that crystal clear to whoever the coach was, it's Matthew Mott obviously, that you may have to not have your best side all the time. Now you've got, what, a T20 World Cup starting 22nd of October, Perth, Afghanistan. A, are you OK for a little while that the Test match side gets the players they want? And B, when are you saying to Rob Key, OK, we've got a World Cup we need to win and I need my side as well?
Yeah, I think, with the way the schedule is, you just got to manage players, and I think we have to be very honest about that. With a T20 starting 2 days after this game here is due to end, it's not possible for guys to play all the cricket. I think what's important for me, looking ahead to that World Cup, is we play 3 T20s against Australia before that World Cup starts, and I think that would be the time I'd like to go into that series with what I think is going to be our team to start that World Cup.
We got Pakistan as well, haven't you? You got 7 there.
Yeah, we played Pakistan in 7 games, but again, that sort of maybe clashes a little bit with the Test matches. So there may be a few guys that we have to manage through that period, and maybe they don't come to Pakistan, or maybe just do a little bit of it. 7 games is a lot, so that gives us a chance to expose players to pressure situations as well. I think the guys we're talking about who probably won't be available are seasoned pros and quite experienced guys, so I don't see it being a problem if they can not partake in all the cricket before that World Cup.
We're going to pop the T20 squad up that has been selected. Are you part of the selection for this?
Yeah, I sat in on the selection. It's harder than you think, actually, when you actually have to do it. Yeah. So for me to talk through, I think the names that jump out that I'm very excited to see. I think Harry Brook has been one of the real form players in the country, hasn't he? I think he's obviously been in the Test squads as well. But watching him in the 100 last year and all the games so far this year, he looks a real player. And Richard Gleeson is someone there who's got his opportunity, who's been back fit this year, bowling quickly and bowling really well at the death. So excited to see him get his chance. You've
got Tumal in there as well. Pace particularly, where are you, do you know, with some of the injuries to the real fast bowlers? I'm thinking Mark Wood and Jofra. To get down to Australia with those two available for selection would be very handy. How close are they, would you say?
I don't know, to be honest.
Right.
I think obviously Jofra's had an operation, I believe, and Woody's been coming back from that elbow injury. So those guys who bowl extreme high pace, they're obviously very valuable assets in all forms of the game, and we must really look after them. Fingers crossed for availability as soon as possible. And yeah, Tamal has again been. When he bowls high pace, he's got some great variations. He's a guy we really believe we need to invest in for the World Cup.
What about your workload, though? Because T20, opening the batting, are you going to still continue to do that? Keep wicket, captain, you earn your match fee.
Yeah, better keep the over rate up. But yeah, I think I'm really keen to do it. I think keeping wickets is quite a nice place to captain from as well. You can see what's happening. I think you're always a bit of a viewpoint for the captain if you aren't as a wicket keeper. So yeah, I'll be running around pretty busy, but yeah, it's T20 is a pretty short game.
You'd like to be in the bowlers' ears, those captains, didn't you? If you think back to the Carlos Brathwaite game where Owen perhaps didn't slow things down, it's a lot for Jos to be able to go from a distance away. He mentions over rates, etc. To get it, if that sort of situation happens, to be able to go up and have a quiet, calming word, which Owen did to Jofra in that super over.
He did, and it will be difficult for a keeper's point of view. Obviously, at the end of the over, he can probably wait, but then he's got to go down that end. He's probably got enough senior players around and the experience around to pass messages on. But clarity is the thing I've heard in the last month, whether it be with this Test match side, Jos talking about Owen and that clarity of thought, that Jos will know that he has to take time to go and put it in the bowler's court. You want to know what you're doing, but we have to be completely clear. I'm 30, 40 yards away, that we're both singing off the same hymn sheet. But one thing you guess with this England side is that they're pretty close to that anyway. And it is an area, I will say, that has slightly, just been in the last couple of years, has been slightly offish, has been the death bowling. So I think towards the end of an innings, that's where it's going to be absolutely vital that Jos and everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet and gets it absolutely spot on.
But it ain't straightforward to sort the death bowling out. I mean, have you picked any tricks out of the IPL about what sides might be trying to do around the world? Is it wide Yorkers? Is it slower ball Yorkers? Is it slower ball bumpers? You seem to go round and round. The ball keeps disappearing out of the park.
Yeah, it's a pretty thankless task, I think, bowling at the end. And whether that means you try and make that, as small part of the game as possible by trying to take wickets earlier and not have set batsmen in at the end. But I think you come down to execution is the biggest thing, isn't it? If you can bowl a brilliant Yorker, no matter who's batting, that people come up with inventive stuff. But sometimes you have to accept that they do that. But if you can execute the balls, and had Lasith Malinga with us at Rajasthan Royals this year, and the simplicity with which he spoke about bowling was, there's only right-handers or left-handers, and there's a Yorker and there's a slow ball, and that was it for him, and that is because his execution was so good. So that is what we need, people to try and get to that point.
And a new coach, Matthew Mott. I mean, you obviously saw him in Amsterdam. You'd have seen him around the world. Quite nice for him. It would have been Morgan's side. It's always been Morgan's side. But to build the side going forward with you, what have you made with him in the short time you've seen of him?
Yeah, a very relaxed character as well. I think naturally he took quite a back seat in the Netherlands and sort of sussed it all out and saw how things were going. But like you say, now without Owen at the helm, I think I'd need to lean on him maybe a bit more than Owen would. And I look forward to growing that relationship with him. He's obviously got fantastic experience from a long time in the game, and I'm sure he can help me and direct me, and we can together moving forward continue the vein in which the team has been on.
How long does that captain-coach relationship take to bed in? You and Fletcher. I mean, you thought it was Keith Fletcher.
I got the wrong Fletcher. Yeah, I mean, not long by looking at this test side, about 5 minutes. But I think that's why it's important. They're cut from the same cloth, and in Stokes and McCullum, they are absolutely. You could have two of exactly the same people there, to be honest. And even though the captain coach, Matthew Mott and Jos, I don't know them specifically, but I would say Jos is taking over in exactly the same way as Morgs. I know he's his own man, but Morgan very, very calm. When I've seen Jos captain, very, very calm, very astute, and a little bit like Ben Stokes. When I've watched Ben Stokes think his way through an innings, whether it be a World Cup final or Headingley, you know you're dealing with a smart cricketer. So when you see Jos play an IPL game or any white ball game, the other day he played one months ago where he started slowly and he got dropped a couple of times, but by the end he was smashing it everywhere because he's a smart cricketer. And I think that's so important that Mott will have a look at Jos and go, this bloke knows what he's doing. But we will have to. I think it's beautiful for Matthew Mott that this is now our team, a little bit like Stokes and McCullum. It's Buttler and Mott driving this side forward, really. I mean, a little bit harder because obviously when you've won 1 from 17, everything must be an upward curve. When you are a very successful white ball side and there's so many people knocking at the door, it is very difficult if you need to try and reinvent the wheel. I don't think you need to. You just need to keep that going, pick up the baton and run with it.
Owen was seen as the Iceman, very calm on the field and, from what I hear, very calm in the dressing room, even when perhaps runs were a little thin on the ground. So he could contain his emotions on that front. How will you be if the runs do dry up a little bit? Will that be a challenge for you to keep those emotions in check and focus on the bigger picture?
I potentially see it as being easier, to be honest. I think as a captain, you naturally will look more outwardly and less about yourself. And again, like you say, the pressure will always be there in international cricket if you're not scoring runs, and you're always going to want to lead by example. But you can set a great example doing that when you're not scoring, and the way you carry yourself, the way you conduct yourself, the way you demand certain things of others, and leading from the front in other ways. So I potentially see that as a positive.
Well, at the moment, there's no problem with your form in the IPL and what we saw out in Holland. What was the IPL like? How much fun was that?
Yeah, a lot of fun. I certainly surprised myself with, the runs I scored, but no, it was brilliant. It was great to have crowds back. It sort of felt like the IPL of old, being in the stadium with full houses, and absolutely loved that. And the role I had at the top of the order and sort of starting the tournament well, that made me sort of believe I could keep going, and it was great. I loved it.
Test match cricket, Jos, I know it's that question that you're always asked.
You've got a licence to tee off at the top of the order in Test match cricket now as well.
Bazball with Jos Buttler at the top. I was on with Kumar, your director of cricket at Rajasthan Royals, and he said Buttler at the top of the order. What is your future and what is your thinking about Test match cricket?
I'm really enjoying watching as a fan at the minute, to be honest. I think we've seen 3 brilliant Test matches. I'm sure this one will be no different. And to be honest, I wasn't worth my place in the side. I got left out on, like you say, on merit. So I'm very immediate about what's in front of me now. I've got a great challenge with the white ball team now becoming captain as well. So I'm really excited for that challenge, and that's really where all my energy is.
Quite interesting that Moeen Ali, though, said it sort of got his attention, some of the cricket that's been played, and I want a piece of it, I think he said to Athers in the Times.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously with Pakistan coming up and you're
Yeah.
looking for a second spinner, Moeen Ali is a fabulous cricketer. So if he becomes available, that'll only be an addition to the England side, someone like Moeen Ali. It's sometimes difficult for Jos, you know. It's simple at the moment. Focus on your white ball game. And then if you suddenly complicate it again and you're in the red ball and you're trying to adapt your game, if you need to adapt your game, sometimes it's fairly simple. But what we've seen recently is people being able to switch codes very easily. And that's why Bazball and McCullum and Stokes helps, because someone like Johnny can come in and not play exactly how he plays in white ball cricket, but is given licence. You can imagine Moeen, I'd say Moeen is overachieved as an off-spinner. And I don't mean that in a bad way. If you told Moeen the amount of wickets he was going to get as a test match off-spinner, it'd be go, wow. And as a batter, he hasn't quite clicked on a regular basis. But playing in this side,
this environment,
if you gave Moeen Ali licence and those brain fades that he himself says he has every now and then, and McCullum just says go again, you could imagine Moeen Ali coming in at number 7 as your second spinner. That would be a dangerous batting lineup, definitely.
He will be one of your big lieutenants, though, wouldn't he, Mo, in terms of who he is in the dressing room, how respected he is in the dressing room, and his cricket brain?
Yeah, absolutely. His cricket brain's, you know, brilliant for
and his humour.
the joker that he is. You know, you forget that he actually knows what he's talking about most of the time. But, there's some really experienced players in the group, and I think that's why it's a nice place to come in and, as you know, try and not change too much. But you know, as Nasser said, you know, you've got to continue that upward curve. That's the challenge. And you know, Owen was always big on, you know, setting no boundaries and trying to keep pushing the limits. And what else can we do? How can we improve? And there's certainly areas that we still can. So we must have a lot of energy directed towards that.
We've got Owen working with us, criticising every move in that white ball stuff.
He's got a camera on you all the time, just
we'll
one
have him at
camera.
third man and analysing your captaincy. Will you still call upon him? Do you see he's such a brain, it'd be a waste not to use him somewhere down the line, whether it be in white ball cricket, any cricket really. Do you see a role for him in the future?
Certainly hope so, yeah. And no, he's been brilliant, hasn't he? I think, you know, everyone talks about what a fantastic leader he's been. He's an incredibly smart guy. No, as I said before, I have to be myself and be my own man, but I don't have any ego in going to him and asking him questions. And he only lives 5 minutes down the road now, so
which is dangerous.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Maybe I have to try and avoid him a few times. But no, I can knock on his door and get some advice, and I hope that there's a role for him, you know, in English cricket, because, like you say, you can't waste great minds like that. Just
going to break into this conversation before we finish and let you know what's going on outside, because obviously we've had an early lunch here at Edgbaston because of the rain, with India 53 for 2. We hoped to get underway had it stopped raining with that early lunch at 12:48 local time. That looks a little unlikely, of course, and the covers are still on and the ground staff are just trying to sweep things away. So the officials are out in the middle talking with the groundsmen. They will have had a look at the forecast and they will be asking how long it's going to take to get things ready for play. As soon as they let the teams know, they'll then let us know and we will let you know. But still no cricket imminently, it would seem, from Edgbaston. OK, so we've done a little bit on the T20 squad. This is the ODI squad that Jos will lead. 3 ODIs against India. Couple of points of difference. Bryden Cast is in this one. Craig Overton, Root, Stokes is somewhere. Stokes got in that one? No, I've got. Yes, he is. Yeah, I thought Ben was in there. Ben Stokes is in there. So just tinkering a little bit between the T20 and the ODI. Yeah, there's some availability there for Bairstow, Stokes and Root to play. So there's some nice guys to bring into your team. Bryden Cast, I really like the look of him in the Netherlands. That was the sort of first time I'd seen him up close, and you know, he's certainly got a lot of talent. You know, we know what a brilliant role that Liam Plunkett played for a long time in the ODI side, and he looks like someone who could offer a similar kind of thing. So it's great to see him back fit. I know he had a big knee injury in the winter, so excited about him. Where is your best place to bat in the ODI? It's obvious in T20 it's opening now, in any, you know, IPL or for England. In the England 50 over side, where do you reckon is your best place to bat? In the middle order still, I think you know, potentially number 5. I think with the option of, as we've done over the last few years, is if we get off to a really good start, you could go up one. But I see myself performing that role in the middle. I think we have a group of guys as well who can be quite fluid, and at certain times, if we need different players to move up or down the order, I'm quite comfortable with that as a
leading that kind of thing, and I'm sure that the rest of the players would be comfortable with that.
So does that depend on matchups and stats? Owen, for all his inner feel and gut feel for the game, did use the stats guy and the analyst a lot, as we saw, where was it, in Cape Town with the signs up and everything. Are you the same? Are you gut feel and use the analyst?
I think both, yeah. And I think you'd be naive not to use the data that's there, but the skill of that is how you use it, isn't it? It's not as black and white, I think, as what the numbers tell you. I'd still quite like to have some cricket intuition. I just see it as an extra piece of information that can be there, and whether you use it or not is then my call. But I'll certainly try and gain as much information as I can. Probably try and withhold a lot of information as well. I want guys to go out and play with freedom and not thinking about too much. So I think it'll be important for myself and the guys to have that information. And if we need to give guys more information, we can. But I certainly want guys to play with freedom.
Joe Root's in that ODI squad. Any chance of him returning in T20s? Because he has done well, but has the game now moved so far to a power game, the likes of Salt smashing it everywhere in Amsterdam? Is that the way the game has gone?
It's certainly changing, but really the strike rate's the biggest thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter how you get them. If you score them at a good strike rate and stuff like that. We know what a fantastic player Joe is. He's done brilliantly for England in T20 cricket when he's played. Unfortunately for him, his opportunities have been really, really limited. So, but he's certainly someone we'll always keep an eye on because he's a top-class player.
Well, let's remind you of the fixtures and what England under Jos will be playing white ball-wise against India. It's 3 T20s, and then, of course, we've got the ODI series. Royal London series right down on July 12th, finishing at Old Trafford. So we got certainly some cricket for you to play. And touching on what Nasser has said about, that the test matches may take a bit more priority with South Africa on the way, that gives you an opportunity to look and try things and look at different formats and just generally open your eyes to what's out there. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, with availability and some injuries, there's certainly opportunity for guys there. And I think, again, I'm not afraid to lose games. I think it's important that we expose players and see them, and give them the best opportunity to put their best foot forward. And I think, the style is a really important thing that I want us to continue to play and to trust that. And if we lose games along the way, I'd rather we fall on the positive side than the cautious side. But of course, there's some great names in there that will, excite fans, that they want to see them perform at the highest level. And the same for me. I look forward to them getting their opportunity.
Exciting times. Challenging times as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, that's what you're in the game for, isn't it? Is those things. And I'm in the best position I'll ever be at the moment to take on a role like this. So I'm looking forward to it.
We wish you well. We appreciate your time coming in. Thank you very much indeed, and good luck. We've taken up far too much of your time, so we're going to let you go. But good luck, and we'll see you for the white ball stuff. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Woody.